Here we sit, 4 or so days after the NFL draft. Players drafted are working with the teams that drafted them and their agents to get the contract signed. Jameis Winston has found a landing spot for the upcoming season as the backup to Drew Brees in New Orleans and a potential successor to Brees, depending on how things go in New Orleans this season. Everyone, it seems like, has a team. Everyone's got a job in the NFL, except for Cam Newton and Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton remaining a free agent doesn't really surprise me all that much. There isn't really a big market for, at best, an average quarterback who can't win playoff games. Now, I'm sure Andy Dalton will get picked up by some team this summer or at some point during the season once a team's starting quarterback gets injured. But I don't think it'll be anytime soon. But Cam Newton, on the other hand, Cam Newton still being unemployed surprises me a little bit. I thought by this point, someone would pick him up. And I thought that someone was going to be the New England Patriots. Bill Belichick had a shitload of picks in this draft. He didn't use not one pick on a quarterback. I thought the Patriots were going to draft Tua. I thought Tua could possibly drop to late in the first round. I was wrong about that. But I thought if Bill Belichick got any inclination that Tua was going to be picked early in the first round, that the Patriots would trade up with Detroit and draft Tua at number 3. Obviously, that didn't happen. And when that didn't happen, I thought for sure that the Patriots were going to sign Cam Newton once the draft ended. And I figured he would be the starter week 1 in New England. Now, so far that has not been the case. And it looks like it's not going to be the case either. It looks that way. Now, according to multiple reports, Bill Belichick has no interest in bringing in Cam Newton. And he's going to go with Jarrett Stidham as his likely starter for the 2020 season. Now, they do have veteran Brian Hoyer on the roster, so Jarrett Stidham's going to have to compete for the starting job this summer. But all signs are pointing to him being the favorite to start week 1 for the Patriots. Jarrett Stidham. Really, Bill Belichick, this is your guy to lead you into the post-Tom Brady era. The guy was a fucking failure at Auburn. Now, he can blame the offensive system at Auburn all that he wants. I agree a little bit with that fact that Gus Malzahn didn't do Jarrett Stidham any favors with that run-heavy system. But great players find a way to win. Stephon Gilmore, Bill Belichick, both of these guys have gone out of their way recently to publicly praise Jarrett Stidham. They see him in practice every day. I don't. He has a year of experience with Belichick's system. He was practicing with the first team the last few weeks of last season because Tom Brady was dealing with some nagging injuries. So I understand why, at this point, Jarrett Stidham is considered the guy possibly in New England. Now, with that being said, I'm really hesitant to believe that Bill Belichick doesn't have any interest in bringing in Cam Newton. He may not have interest right now, late April, but I think that could change. There is a dark cloud right now that is hanging over the head of Cam Newton, and that's his health. His health is a big question mark. No one fucking knows if he's gotten over his injuries. Played hurt damn near the entire 2018 season. Missed the majority of last season with an injury. The thing that's bothersome with Cam Newton is the type of injuries that he's had. He had that injury to his throwing shoulder in 2018 that he played through. And even though he played through that injury, it was a disastrous season. Although he posted the best completion percentage of his career, he couldn't throw the ball downfield. The Panthers were reduced to a dink and dunk type offense with short passes. Then last season, Cam Newton had that Lindsfrack injury, which is a foot injury. Severely limits the effectiveness of Cam Newton. If he can't make plays with his legs, then he's fucked up. He's never learned how to be a pocket passer. He probably wishes now that he would have listened to Ron Rivera. For years in Carolina, Ron Rivera tried to work with Cam Newton, tried to convince him to work on becoming a better pocket passer. Cam Newton wouldn't listen. Now, I understand in a way that it was kind of hard for him at that point, since he was in his mid to late 20s. We're all hard-headed, especially men, in our 20s. Cam Newton was MVP of the league at the time, had taken Carolina to the Super Bowl. So he was succeeding. I understand it was probably hard for him to listen to Ron Rivera trying to change the way he plays the game. But the problem right now is no one knows if Cam Newton's healthy or not. And there's no way to know because teams like the Patriots can't bring him in for a workout because of the damn coronavirus lockdown. That needs to end sooner rather than later, by the way. Thank God some of these states are beginning to wake up and ease these fucking lockdown restrictions. And the states that aren't easing up, people are beginning to do whatever the fuck they want anyway. I never listen to a damn politician when it comes to anything health related. Politicians can't even run the fucking government effectively. How can we expect them to handle a health crisis? Anyway, I got off point there. Back to Cam Newton. He can tell us all day, every day that he's back to 100%. But until he can be brought in for a workout, I think teams are going to continue to stay away from him. The longer this goes on, the less money he's going to be able to command when he does eventually get an offer. Matt Rule and the Carolina Panthers didn't do Cam Newton any favors by waiting so long to release him. When Matt Rule had his introductory press conference in Carolina, I came on here, I believe it was back in January, and I told you guys that you could read between the lines of his comments and tell that Cam Newton's days in Carolina were over. It was done. Now, they waited another 2 months and several days into free agency to release Cam Newton. By that point, most of your teams that were looking for quarterbacks had already picked him up. Now, whether you like Cam Newton or not, he accomplished a lot in Carolina, and they did him wrong on the way out. I've got a feeling that once Cam Newton can be evaluated, he's going to end up with Bill Belichick and the Patriots. I think it would be a good fit for both Cam Newton and New England. I mean, for one, I just can't see Bill Belichick starting the post-Tom Brady era with Jarrett fucking Stidham. I just can't see it. I mean, that would essentially be saying the 2020 season is going to be a waste. 3-13, 4-12 season. I just don't think Bill Belichick's ego is going to allow that to happen if there is a healthy Cam Newton available. Now, I think playing under Bill Belichick would be extremely beneficial to Cam Newton. I don't think this would have been a great fit 2-3 years ago. But today, I do. I think that Cam Newton has been humbled the past 2 years, especially this year. He's no longer Superman anymore. That MVP and that Super Bowl run was 5 years ago. That has all but been forgotten. Ancient history. No one remembers the Super Bowl loser. No one remembers second place. I think Cam Newton today would be much more receptive to instruction and coaching than he was a couple of years ago. I also think Cam Newton's going to be hungry, pissed off. The team that drafted him number 1 overall 7-8 years ago turned their back on him. He's going to have something to prove. Bill Belichick will be in that same state of mind, wanting to prove to everyone that he can win without Tom Brady. What did I say the other day on my video about who deserved the most credit for the Patriots dynasty, Bill Belichick or Tom Brady? That when Tom Brady arrived in New England, the hunger that both he and Bill Belichick had created the perfect storm. I think we could see something similar to that with Cam Newton if he ends up going to New England. Not to mention the fact that in New England, Cam Newton would finally have a great defense on the other side of the field. The majority of his time in Carolina, he was carrying the Panthers and making up for some shitty or mediocre defenses at best. Guess what happened each time the Panthers had a top 10 defense? Carolina made the playoffs. Cam Newton should be a wake-up call for guys like Lamar Jackson. Where he is today should be a wake-up call for Lamar Jackson types. I know the dual threat running quarterback is the new hot thing in the NFL right now. But guys like that don't have longevity in this league. If you look at the history of the NFL, running quarterbacks just don't last long. The pocket passers, the Mannings, the Brees, the Bradys, Aaron Rodgers, Phillip Rivers, those are the guys that are having 15, 17, 20-year careers. Just look at Michael Vick. When he became the starting quarterback in Atlanta back in 2002, he took the league by storm. Was the first quarterback to go to Lambeau Field and win a playoff game when Green Bay was at home. Then he hits 30 years old, has one good season in Philly, and he is done. I know the 2 years out of the league that he spent in prison didn't help. But even if that hadn't been the case, even if Michael Vick had played those 2 years, once you get into your 30s, you lose a bit of your burst. You lose a bit of your speed. So if you're a quarterback that's dependent on your legs, you are fucked. I think guys like Lamar Jackson and other running quarterbacks in the league should look at Cam Newton as a reason to work on their skills as a pocket passer. No, I know Lamar Jackson has been working on that, but he's got a long way to go. All right, that's all for today, guys. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button for me. Hit that notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Leave me a comment in the section below. Let me know what you think about Cam Newton. Do you actually think that Bill Belichick is not interested in Cam Newton and is really going to go with Jarrett Stidham as his starter in week 1? Or do you think that once this pandemic is over and Cam Newton can be evaluated, that Bill Belichick will actually bring him into New England? You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. I will see you guys next time.